Every culture on Earth tells the same story. Beings descending from the sky, beings emerging from beneath the earth. They bring fire, metal, writing, law. They teach agriculture, astronomy, architecture. We call them gods. We call them aliens. We call them divine messengers. But what if we have misread the oldest memory in human history? What if these beings were not supernatural at all? What if they were human, survivors of a vanished age? Welcome to Chronicles of Antiquity. This is not a story about gods. This is a story about what happens when civilization falls and a few remember. The core question echoes across every ruin, every clay tablet, every oral tradition. Are ancient myths merely stories, or are they memories? Consider the pattern first: Egypt, Mesopotamia, the Indus Valley, Mesoamerica. Each region develops complex civilization abruptly, almost overnight on the geological timescale. Each credits divine beings for their sudden leap. Osiris, Oannes, Quetzalcoatl. Viracocha mainstream archaeology explains this as coincidence, the natural emergence of symbolism. But the similarities run deeper than archetype. They describe specific technologies, metallurgy, without any preceding stone tool transition period. Accurate calendars within a generation of the culture's founding. Monumental architecture, using techniques that appear fully formed. No trial, no error, no slow accretion of knowledge over millennia. Knowledge arrives fully packaged, delivered by strangers who speak and then vanish. Now add the second layer of the pattern, cataclysm. Every tradition preserves a memory of world-ending fire or flood. The deluge of Noah, the fire of Phaethon, the sinking of Atlantis, the 5 sons of the Aztecs. Geologists confirm multiple climate catastrophes in the human timeline. The Younger Dryas onset, 12,800 years ago. Temperatures plummeting 15 degrees in decades. Megafauna extinction. Sea levels rising 400 feet, entire landscapes erased. Then after the chaos, silence. A dark age lasting more than 1,000 years. And then, inexplicably, advanced civilization blooms across multiple continents simultaneously. This is the anomaly that Orthodox history struggles to explain. Why do Göbekli Tepe, Çatalhöyük, and early Jericho appear with complex stonework and astronomy? Why does the archaeological record show no linear progression? The hypothesis presented here is uncomfortable but coherent. What if the cataclysm was not the first destruction, but the latest in a cycle? What if organized civilization has risen and fallen many times over deep time? And what if, after each fall, a remnant survives? Not scattered hunter-gatherers, a deliberate remnant. An elite minority with stored knowledge, preserved technology, protected infrastructure, bunkers, underground facilities, mountain redoubts, cave systems stocked with seeds, tools, texts. Imagine a global civilization aware of the cycle. Seismic monitoring, climate prediction, geological foreknowledge. The elites build shelters not for months, but for decades. They wait out the fire and the flood. They emerge onto a changed world. The surface population has collapsed to subsistence survival. Oral traditions have fractured. Writing, where it existed, is lost. Metallurgy is a forgotten art. The survivors from below carry working metal, preserved books, accurate maps, clean water technology. To a traumatized, illiterate population living in animal skins, what do these people look like? They descend from mountains wearing strange clothing. They speak an old language, now incomprehensible. They carry tools that never dull. They predict eclipses. They know where to dig for ore. They teach flood control, crop rotation, star navigation, and then they establish themselves as rulers. They become kings. Priest kings, gods, not because they claim divinity, because to the survivors of the cataclysm, their knowledge is indistinguishable from magic. This is not science fiction. This is the only reading of ancient texts that takes them literally. The Sumerian king list describes rulers reigning for impossibly long spans before and after the flood. Interpret allegorically, these are myths. Interpret literally as dynasties preserving distinct knowledge lineages. The numbers become dynasty lengths, not individual lifespans. The gods become ruling houses. The same pattern appears in Egypt. Manetho's dynasties list the reign of the gods before human pharaohs. Mainstream Egyptology dismisses this as priestly invention. But what if it is compressed memory? A memory that the first rulers after the cataclysm possessed something the common people did not. Knowledge, technology, historical awareness of what had been lost. Consider the practical evidence. Bronze appears simultaneously across Europe, Asia, and North Africa around 3300 BCE. No gradual spread, No single origin point radiating outward. Synchronous emergence. This is not how independent invention works. This is how a surviving knowledge network operates. Writing follows the same pattern. Cuneiform, hieroglyphs, Indus script, early Chinese characters. Each distinct, but each appearing as a fully formed system, not an evolutionary prototype. Each attributed to a divine bringer, Thoth, Nabu, Quetzalcoatl again. The counter-argument is predictable. Correlation is not causation. Ancient peoples invented things independently, yes, but independent invention produces gradual, messy regional trajectories. It does not produce sudden, synchronized, fully operational technology across disconnected continents. The elite survivor hypothesis explains the anomalies that gradualist models cannot. It explains why pyramids appear in Egypt and Mesoamerica with no contact, shared antecedent knowledge. It explains why flood myths describe the same survival mechanism, a boat, a cave, a high place. It explains why the gods always instruct survivors to preserve seeds and breeding animals. That is not mythology. That is continuity planning. The most disturbing implication is not about the past, it is about the future. If civilization has reset multiple times, the cycle is not broken, it is merely dormant. Advanced monitoring systems exist today. Deep underground facilities are documented. Seismic, solar, and climate data are tracked by international agencies. If another global cataclysm is predictable, who would be warned? Who would be saved? And when they emerge a generation later, what will the survivors on the surface call them? The answer is carved in every temple, written on every papyrus, whispered in every oral tradition. They will call them gods. They will call them bringers of fire and law. They will worship them. And the cycle will begin again. Chronicles of Antiquity does not offer dogma. It offers a lens. Look at the old stories again, not as fantasy, but as testimony. Look at the abrupt appearance of knowledge, not as miracle, but as inheritance. Look at the catastrophe layers in the sediment, not as ancient curiosity, but as calendar. What if humanity remembers more than history records? What if the gods were us? From the last time the world burned, and a few remained who remembered how to rebuild. Keep questioning, keep digging. The past is not as distant as we have been told.